My son and I went to a Beatles concert last night. I wanted to share my experiences with that as an autistic person, what was going on in my brain. And I know a lot of you are going to relate to this. This is really mostly just a point of view video to explain my experience. Can autistic people attend concerts? Maybe some people want to know that. And the answer is yes. I want to add that there are no two autistic people who are the same in experiences or preferences, and it can vary from autistic person to autistic person. But stick around to the end to see some comments about what other autistic people said about how concerts can affect them. So me and my son ended up going to the concert. So it was really nice to have my son there with me. For the most part, I can handle going to events like that, because I feel like the focus is on the people on the stage. It's not me having to talk to people. So that's one of the reasons concerts are okay for me. As far as noise and lights, yes, sometimes it can be a little bit loud, a little bit bright, but I've always been able to handle it. I've attended many concerts as I did in the 80s in high school and things. I went to a lot of concerts when I didn't even know I was autistic, so I figured everybody else went. There were some times during the concert where it was so loud, I could feel my body vibrate from the vibrations in the room. And I just looked around like, is anybody else experiencing this too? Like, is it this loud to everybody else as it is to me? Just for my anxiety, I had to make sure that I took my natural supplements that I take, which are like valerian root, melatonin sometimes, because I would rather be sleepy at the concert than have a lot of social anxiety. So that was how I coped. If I'm going somewhere and I don't know what the venue is going to look like, it makes me very anxious. If I don't know ahead of time what to expect, it can put me on edge. But my son had been before to these concerts in this building, so he knew his way around, so that was a good help for me. I wanted to find my seat early before all the seats filled up. I don't like people watching me walk in the room, so we got in there 30 minutes early to find our seat. Sometimes if I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, I will take a break in the public restroom, in the stall. I will just stand there for 5 minutes or so, however long I need to feel okay. So that's one of the strategies I use if I'm feeling nervous about the social situation. So I did a lot of people watching during the concert. I was noticing patterns and things people were wearing. I was noticing people's interactions with each other. And I noticed myself. I noticed my lack of emotions, my lack of expressions. And I wondered if the people to my side were thinking to themselves, this girl looks like she's not even having a good time. I wonder why she's here. Because from the surface, you couldn't tell I was having a good time. I was sitting pretty still, not moving. I know I had a blank expression on my face, but despite that, I was having a good time. It was just my flat effect showing up because I was tired by the end of the day. It was 9 o'clock. I didn't have much or anything for masking. My son even made a comment after the concert. He's like, "Mom, you look like you had a terrible time." I just had to explain to him that you can't tell what's going on in my brain by seeing my face. It doesn't always interpret or show up what I'm feeling on the inside. I was tapping my toes and moving my legs. I was stimming, and I guess he didn't notice that. So I had to verbally explain to him I had a good time. But don't you find this to be an issue sometimes with family, they see your face expression and you're expressionless and they think you're not having a good time. So I'm glad he mentioned it so I could tell him I enjoyed it. During a concert, I don't like to drink any liquids because I don't want to have to get up in front of everybody to be seen and go to the restroom. I don't want people to notice me, so I don't drink anything, water, anything. Was it worth going to? Yes, because I had time to spend with my son. So do you attend concerts? And if so, do you have to take earplugs or have any, do you take anything to help your anxiety? Do you have to take things for your ears, headphones, anything like that when you go to a concert? Are you able to attend concerts? How do you find them? Comment down below.
Lizzie says that a lot of times it took alcohol to calm her, and I totally relate. I was like that in high school. And then she said there's so little small talk involved, which she loves about that. And then Sydney Johnson says flashing lights and loud sounds bother her. She has really sensitive hearing. Helen says, I don't do concerts, not with people. I don't know why, and they're too noisy. She uses alternatives like YouTube. Cute Cats of Istanbul says towards the end of her paragraph, concerts she finds freeing because she can be in her own bubble, dancing, singing along, dreaming, and it looks normal. The Caesarea, she said, I totally understand about concerts being not as taxing socially, and she doesn't go to concerts much for the most part. Leo Monte, he agrees that a concert is less stressful than a social function by far. James says when he goes to a concert or sport event or cinema, he always sits on the end of the row. I think that's a great tip, to get a seat at the end of the row. Kat said alcohol, cigarettes, and weed helped her cope with going to places that were crowded with loud spaces, and because she doesn't do those things anymore, she doesn't go to events anymore. Pickman says that they used to go to metal and rock concerts in their teens and 20s, and maybe it was sensory seeking, but it's not as socially demanding, especially compared to like weddings, rehearsals. Imagination Lives said, I can relate to every single thing you said about your experience. I cringed at the footage of the concert crowd. I can't really enjoy crowded events because there's so much sensory stuff going on. I can't enjoy the actual performance, and there's all the traffic at the end. He says it's just not worth it to him in the end, and the worst thing is dodging all the people, most of them who don't move or act in predictable patterns. And he adds he absolutely can't tolerate being bumped into or rubbed against.
Thanks for watching this point of view of going to a concert.